As most people know, addiction is just a dreaded disease. It affects the whole family.
There's a stigma about addictions, alcohol, drugs, whatever it may be. If you mention any kind of illness at all, you'll have sympathy. If you mention drugs or alcohol, there is no sympathy. It's always they're addicts, they're druggies, they're alcoholics.
Narcotics and prescription drugs particularly are epidemics. And the funding to help people is just not there. And children and families are being ruined by it. And the fact that there's nobody to speak for these kids is just unacceptable.
Last count, there's about 800,000 addicts in New Jersey alone, and 40 million in the United States. The country's totally out of control, let alone other countries in the world. So for every addict, there's usually 5 or 10 people that are involved with this addict that become also dysfunctional, codependent, because they love this addict. So if you multiply that by 5, you got 2/3 of the population out of control.
We have 8 or 10 kids away for treatment every month. There's calls continually that come to us for help.
Out of 6 children, we had 6 addicts in our family, and all of them are in recovery. I went to a program when I was 23 years old. I was very blessed. I'm sober, clean, 28 years. You know, I got to go to college. I got to do things that I never dreamed I'd do. I really thought I would be dead.
Have you or a loved one ever struggled with an addiction? Chances are that you do know someone, and they're probably very close to you. My guests today are going to tell us about a great program for addicts and their loved ones called the City of Angels. It's the first part of a 2-part special. In addition to speaking with my guests today, Kevin Mera and Bill Wilson, we're going to watch a video, at least part of the video, meet other City of Angel volunteers and hear their stories. Kevin Mera is the founder of the City of Angels. It's a nonprofit organization which offers hope and help to addicts and their families. City of Angels was born out of a family tragedy. Kevin and his wife, Mary Ann's tragedy. See, they lost their son, Casey, to drugs. Terrible stuff. You know what it's all about. Kevin's going to share with us why he and Mary Ann wanted to create a safe place for addicts and their families to come to get help, resources, care that they need, and hopefully need the support to stay in recovery. This organization is helping countless young addicts find hope and recovery from the disease of addiction. Kevin's a parishioner of St. Vincent de Paul in Yardville. Kevin, bless you. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Monsignor. It's great to be here.
Another guest today is Bill Wilson. He's a permanent deacon at St. Gregory the Great Parish in Hamilton Square. He volunteers at City of Angels. He's there to provide his own gift of his diaconate, spiritual support, and presence to that organization, and especially to the ones that need it so badly. He's very active in the Sunday spiritual night, and we hope he'll tell us a little bit about that. Bill, thanks for being with us.
Monsignor, thank you for inviting me to be here.
You know, we opened up with a lot of heaviness, and heaviness probably won't go away, and maybe never goes away. Loss of a child is beyond words. But the good Lord says there's always a resurrection of some kind. And that's what we sift through, and that's what you guys are doing. And especially yourself, Kevin, and your wife, Mary Ann. Tell me, Kevin, if you don't mind, how and why and did you and Mary Ann, your beautiful wife, start this City of Angels?
Well, to be honest, Monsignor, on June 30th, 2008, I would have never thought I would be sitting in this chair today. You referred to it as a resurrection. Refer to it as you may. Right now, Mary Ann and I are just trying to help a little bit. As you indicated, our son, Kevin Kelly, we called him KC, died of a heroin overdose on June 30th, 2008. Like many parents that we meet today, We were pretty clueless. We were affected by the disease, but we didn't know. And so when Casey died, other parents and friends of his came to us and said that their son or daughter was addicted. Could we help them? And Mary Ann and I looked at each other. What were we going to do? We didn't know anything. And so what happened shortly after that was I decided to get together with a few people and just find out how the system works. And one Sunday after another Sunday after another Sunday, we just sit down and we would put the whole system up on the wall and figured out how it works. And then in March of 2009, a group of people got together and founded City of Angels. And the original mission of City of Angels was just to give them the information that we found, which when it comes down to addiction, it's pretty much either you have insurance or you don't have insurance. Either way, you can get help. And so City of Angels started just by doing that, just by when we get a phone call, we would tell people how to get help.
Now, City of Angels, does it operate out of your home? Is there a place where people come to meet?
City of Angels was incorporated in 2009. It's a corporation in the state of New Jersey. We also have our nonprofit status. I call it an all-volunteer community group, and we don't charge for anything we do. We use what's called the Dwyer Center. It's a building in Hamilton Township. It's a township building. Just like any other group that meets there, whether they're the Quilters or the Chess Club, whatever it is, we utilize that building. And what we did find out is that getting the kids into treatment was the easy part. You may have seen the show Intervention. That's actually the easy part, getting them go. When they come out, whether it's life skills, social services, safe meeting places, that's when we found the real challenges were.
That's the support.
The support.
We're going to watch some more video, but Bill, how did you get involved? You know, I know you got a lot of things on your plate, but how did you get involved?
It's a funny story. In March of 2008, my daughter-in-law asked me to come say grace at the Hibernians for Kevin, who was going to, he had a fundraiser that night. Well, I didn't know Kevin at all. So I walked in the door and, you know, you're going to say grace. And that was just the beginning. I sat down.
So you said grace, and grace came about, and you got involved.
That's
wow,
it.
That's amazing. Let's watch a little more video and to see just the work that you're all doing.
I lost my 20-year-old son to a drug overdose, and City of Angels, I believe the program, if it hadn't been in place back then, that it might have possibly changed my son's course. I'm a little nervous today because today, November 16th, is the date of my son's birth. Had a few crying spells today. My son was 6'2", blonde-haired, blue-eyed, 180 pounds. He was gorgeous and thought he was ugly. A lot of these kids have no self-esteem. I tell them they're beautiful all the time. Beautiful girls. And they think they're ugly. And I'm like, you've got to learn that you are made in the image of God. I am the volunteer coordinator, and we're always looking for volunteers to come out and help us. A lot of the kids are getting kicked out of their house, and we're providing for them a place to go. We just had a family dinner the other night that we had about 60 people here. They sit, they have a good time, and I think that's the part I enjoy the most.
I try to help the kids to learn about recovery. That's what I do with City of Angels. And we make sure that they understand what the program of recovery is. Sometimes they come to us before they're ready to recover. Sometimes they come because somebody makes them come and they're just not ready to get well. So we work with kids at all stages of their recovery.
ride with the motorcycle ministry called Soldier of Christ, and I've always wanted to help out in recovery because I'm a recovering drug addict. I started following God. He did such a change in my life that I told him that if he kept me feeling this way, that I would do anything that he asked me to do. So for City of Angels, what I do is I will go into the drug houses and the crack houses in Trenton and pull young kids out. Well, I know it was God that got me clean and sober, but at the time, I believed in God, but I figured I did so much wrong in my life that he wasn't going to have nothing to do with me. So I was clean and sober for 2 years, but I felt myself heading back out. And it wasn't until I got down on my knees and I asked God to come back into my life and fill that emptiness and that void. And from that day on, he filled it. It's his strength that I lean on to do what I do today. Most of us as addicts, we look in the mirror and we don't see but nothing very special, you know, and now we're clean and we look in the mirror and we see God, because that's the miracle right there.
It's a volunteer organization. We have to raise our own funds to fund everything that we do. And it's just, everybody has a big heart, and there are people involved who have lost loved ones, lost children. Last Christmas, on the 23rd of December, I got called by a friend of mine that her nephew had taken his own life. And would I go over and pray over him? And the police were waiting for me so I could go in and kneel down and pray over this young man who had just taken his life. I think he was 21 years old, had everything to live for, but the addictions got him. And I've had the occasion to, not a pleasant occasion, to do funerals for some of the board members for their children who have lost their lives through addiction. So I'm very deeply involved that way.
I became involved with the City of Angels back in April of 2009. My son, who was a drug addict, they helped him, sent him to Florida a few times. He was in and out of rehabs for a long time. Back in February the 21st, 2010, he passed away. He died, and I found him dead. And I'm trying to get more involved with the City of Angels to help, you know, other families with their children so they don't go through the hardship that I went through of finding their child dead at such a young age.
Looking at a parent at their child's funeral and trying to explain to them it wasn't their fault. I guess that's the hardest thing that sticks in my mind, and that's why I get so deep into this, is because I'm tired of seeing the disease of addiction that it's killing our young people.
Losing someone, there's no words to describe it, but we have found that through our family at City of Angels, through helping others, that that's working for us as we go through our loss. My faith is my anchor, and I found that through the death of my son. I found that I'm weak and I'm tired, and I know that someone is holding me up as I go through this journey. My life's changed forever, and I know that I depend on God for the strength, the words, the courage. People say to me, God bless you. And I just used to say, yeah, but now I say, thank you, he has. They don't understand. They look at you and they say, he lost someone. How could he say he has? Well, he's blessed us in different ways, many ways.
Well, my story began around 8 years ago when I discovered my son was addicted to prescription medicine. It just escalated from there. Each year he added more and more drugs, and finally he was addicted to heroin. I just thought I was going to lose him. Through one of my friends, I found out about the City of Angels, and I realized that it was a group that I could get information and support from. It's just been such a positive experience. It's helped me deal with my son's addiction. And we all draw strength from each other, because everybody comes to City of Angels with a different story, and I think all the experiences we have together help each other.
You feel not alone. When my son was doing drugs, you want to be secret about it. You don't want no one to know because you're afraid of what everybody's going to say about you as a parent. My son was a loving, sweet boy, very good looking. And if you looked at him, you can't pick a drug addict out. You really can't.
It gives me a lot of hope, especially when I see a recovering addict that has fought his addiction and is a member of society right now. You know, they've been at the lowest point of their addiction, homeless. And then you see these remarkable people make a recovery. Some of them have even gone on to get their masters and PhDs. And when I see that face, I see the face of hope. And my philosophy is, as long as there's life, there's hope. And nobody should ever give up on an addict. That's why City of Angels is so important. We can help anybody.
My younger brother owns recovery houses and he has beds for 150 people. If they have money, it doesn't matter. We just help people. My whole family was saved because of 12-step programs and people like the City of Angels.
If I never talked to the people I talked to in City of Angels to realize that I need rehab, I would still be out there. And kids die every day from this stuff, so they saved my life.
When a parent looks at you and begs and asks for help, I try to find a way to make sure I can help them. We have a lot of our volunteers have lost kids that have died to this disease. There's a couple of us that are in recovery. I always tell the kids, you know, they think they've had it so bad, they haven't even started to scratch the surface of what this disease or this sin will do to you. And not only did I scratch, I broke through and I lived on the other side for quite a while, and I don't want to see that happen. The parents that have lost their children to this, they don't want to see it happen. And I really look up to them more than I look up to people like me, because they've actually lost a child already and they don't want to see it happen again. First thing is getting a person into treatment, getting the help they need. And then what we do is back off and we do family training. We have a family program set up because the families a lot of times are sicker than the addicts are. So they need the counseling, they need the help. We ask the family to come in 2 days a week. We usually tell them to do at least 5 Nar-Anon meetings, but come in for our family program, which is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That educates them not only to what this disease is doing, but it also educates them to what to do after the person comes out of treatment. Then we have meetings here. We have a spiritual meeting on Sunday nights. We have Nar-Anon, Al-Anon. We have NA and AA counseling on Sunday mornings, you know. So it's pretty much from A to Z. Anything you need help with this is here. And if it's something that we find we need, we find somebody that's going to step in and do it. There's no charge to anything we do. We can't see how you put a price on trying to save somebody's life. And that's what we're trying to do. When I do interventions, if it's just a family meeting, I usually have a couple of my kids come in. When I say my kids, it's City of Angels kids. They come in and they tell them their story. They tell them that, you know what, you don't have to hurt like this no more. You don't have to be this way. Last night I had a couple of my guys come and we sat in my garage with this young man, and it wasn't me that talked him into it. It was them 2 young people that talked him into going to treatment to getting the help he needed. And that's how they give back. And it makes them feel like they're actually doing something other than being that dirtbag on the street, which most of our kids, that's what they feel like they are when they come to us. You know, they've burnt every bridge. They want to help, they want to give back. And it gives them a sense of responsibility, a sense of belonging to something.
Get in recovery. That would be my advice to anyone that is still using. It's not worth it. They always tell us in NA that we get high once, where we never get the same feeling again after the first time we get high. And that's what we're looking for, is that feeling. And it's just a chase for the rest of your life, and it's gonna end up killing you. Just get into recovery, get clean, because life is so much better without the drugs.
I recently had a neighbor of mine who was going through some rough times, and I remembered what they taught me, and I was able to help her out. I was able to take the tools that I learned and teach them to somebody else, and now she's using those tools to help somebody else out. So what they teach me is pretty much a chain reaction, and it helps a bunch of other people out. Makes me smile knowing that.
I think the kids are the best part. Their spirits coming back to life and seeing them grow and like really just be happy again. They go to treatment basically when they come to us, and then they come home and they have a small education, and then we get to work with them and teach them how to recover. When it takes, it's really beautiful. You see parents get their kids back, families get back together. It's a pretty beautiful thing. That's the best part of City of Angels, if you could imagine.
I get to deal with the kids when they first come to us, so I see them sick, and I see them, the young women and the young boys both just look awful. And they go away to treatment, whether it's 30 or 60 days, and you see them come back with a little bit of color in their face, and then you see months down the road that they've got so much life back in them.
Here it's like you can be sober and still have way more fun than you would what you used to do. They're about to schedule like a snowboarding or skiing trip. Like I would have never thought I would be doing stuff like that sober, and now I am, and it just makes me feel like awesome that I have like they're like my family. They're like my new good family.
I have one story in particular that really hits hard, and it was a young lady. She was really addicted to heroin real bad. We were going to go to Philly to take her away from there. She did get home. I took her to New York to a woman's home. She left there, got back out on the streets again. For some reason, this young girl just touched my heart. It was just, she was like one of my daughters. I just watched her mom suffer through the whole thing, and she ended up finally getting arrested and going to prison. 7 or 8 months she did in prison, and she came out to a woman's home for 6 months. Now she's back, she's right around here living on her own, working, and she's staying clean. Now all our kids are important, all our kids are special, but that one story there just, it just hits my heart so bad. She's 23 years old now. She did, at 21, she was at Rikers Island. Seeing the transformation in her has been like a blessing. Advice to the families themselves is get educated. Realize that this will kill your child. This will take them out. A lot of people don't think, oh, it won't happen to me, but it will kill your child. No matter if they're 14 years old or if they're 30 years old. Don't matter if they're rich or poor. You don't have to live in the streets to let this take you out. We couldn't do what we do if it wasn't because of God. I believe God gives us the tools that we need, which is we do fundraisers. We do have people that donate, but I think most of it is fundraisers. We have our biggest fundraiser is Rockfest every year. Then we do pancake breakfast. We have a couple of them a year, which are big hits. We have merchandise that we're trying to get set up through the computer that you can actually buy some of our t-shirts.
It's so shameful to be an addict, and the isolation is kind of really what gets people. No matter what, if you need help, reach out to somebody and talk about what's going on and try to be honest. And don't worry about what people think about you. That's probably the most important thing, is let somebody know. Talk it to death before it kills you.
If you're out there actively using, or even if you're just experimenting and you think it won't happen to me, a dozen people in here right now that tell you they said the same thing. Don't think you're going to have tomorrow to change and to stop, because you know that one last time you go out and get high, it could possibly be your last. You know, and I've seen a lot of kids say, "Oh, I just need one more, just one more," and they ended up going to get that one more right before they go to get help, and you know, it kills them. Don't think you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to have another chance, because you might not have that last chance. If you know a friend that's got a problem but you don't want to tell nobody, do not be afraid to go to somebody, authority, a teacher, a parent, and people say, oh, I can't snitch. Well, that's not snitching, you're saving their life.
I wish the whole world would see that.
Oh boy, that was powerful.
I think, Kevin, and you know, more than powerful even. You know, it's real stuff. It's real stuff. I think we all would do anything we could to save a kid, save pain. That's not easy, huh? Where do you begin? What do you... I mean, I was thinking you show that to somebody, you know, that's already into some drugs. You know, you got to get them down to that place where they're going to say, yeah, I want it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's up to them. You know, we educate the families, but it's up to those who are suffering from their addiction to want the help. And it's much more difficult when they don't want the help and they're not ready to come in. So we spend as much time as we can educating the family. As Redneck said in the clip, we all get sick from our kids' disease. And so we try to educate the family. But it's up to those suffering with the addiction to want the help. And the numbers aren't real good, Monsignor. We're told 2 in 100 that go to treatment will stay in recovery that first time. So, you know, it's a continual effort. They have to look in the mirror every morning and say, what decision am I going to make? Do I want it today? Do I want to stay in recovery today?
You know what, I'm just thinking, you know, together here with us, we're fighting a battle.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And the battle that we're fighting is also media. I just somehow came across this the other day. In fact, I think a woman wrote a book, and part of the book was about boys, young men, growing into young men. And one of the things she was saying that really struck me was that parents have to understand what their kids are doing and seeing and whatever. And she said, you know, when they got the earphones on, or whatever you call that stuff, and they're listening to all this music that talks about, you know, like glorifies this stuff and glorifies that, you know, when the system gets glorified in that, you just,
right.
And somehow or other, I don't think they see the pain, not only in themselves, but I don't know if they see the pain that's going to cause others. And, but that's what we're fighting. We're fighting a world out there that, you know, movies makes this thing, not only drugs, lots of other stuff. Looks like trivial, it looks like fun, it looks like, and we all know it, gosh darn it, it's not. You know?
Make no doubt about it, we're fighting the devil. This disease is the devil. And we tell the kids every day that the moment they step into City of Angels and they want help, we tell them the devil doesn't want you to get help. It's going to fight you. It's going to try to stop you, convince you not to go to treatment.
Well, one of the great things about the book of Revelation, which gets very crazy, I guess, when we read it, is it says that God wins.
Oh yeah.
And somehow or other we got to keep doing that because we know that we're going to win it. Bless you guys. We'll continue our second show next week. It's a marvelous thing. Please don't forget to tune in next week for part 2 of the special program, City of Angels. We'll meet 6 young addicts who are in recovery and leaning on the support of the services of City of Angels. I wish I could go hug every one of you. I wish I could talk more with Kevin and Bill, you know, but please, anyone, young, old, doesn't matter, anyone on these drugs and stuff like that, please take a step back. Listen, think. We love you. Most important, love yourself. God loves you.